Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Stretford Paddock. I am Alex, and I'm here to bring you, as always, the latest and greatest Manchester United news, and we've got loads to go through this morning. We've had some breaking news 12 seconds before we went live, so we're going to get into that first before getting into the latest on Raphael Varane, a little bit of a look at Bruno's new contract, and also there was some Goretzka stuff. We'll get to that. But to start with, let's go with Juan Mata has signed his new contract and has signed a one-year extension, keeping him at Old Trafford until June 2022. Now, me and Steve talked about this a while ago. I think this one is down to the fact that, look, Juan Mata, for as much as he wants to maybe play a bit more football, he is happy in Manchester. He has bought his house. He's done all this kind of stuff. He's happy living in Manchester and wants to stay here. And I think that there's talk about whether he just, after this one-year extension, how many times he plays this year, I think he'll stay on at Manchester United in some kind of ambassadorial role, maybe even as a coach. But Juan Mata is staying at Old Trafford. Manchester United have done the statement this morning. They've said as well, whilst in 2021 was limited to 18 appearances, partly due to personal circumstances, Mata's contribution remained, as he was notably one of the 6 Reds to win our Player of the Month awards alongside Cavani, Fernandes, Pogba, Rashford and Luke Shaw. With a new one-year contract extension and pre-season training about to start at Carrington, Juan is raring to go in what will be his 9th campaign at United. 9 years at Manchester United. Great to see Juan Mata done. To be honest, more than anything, because he's a really, really sound guy as well. Not just the fact that he's a very good player. I think any club in the world is happy to have Juan Mata associated with it, and I'm happy to see that Juan Mata is going to be at Manchester United for another year, because we've mentioned it before. For as much as we're signing these new players in, these young players, these really exciting players, we need players that have been there and done it. And all of a sudden, that can change very quickly. You're looking at the likes of Nemanja Matic, probably going to move on next season. You're looking at Cavani maybe not staying for too long. Paul Pogba that's still up in the air. And all of a sudden, if you lose those 3 players, maybe even like a David De Gea maybe goes in the next 12 months, you need that kind of experience around the dressing room. You need just in training. I think one of those things that's been mentioned a lot of what Fergie did very well was just having those players in and around the place, having them dragging them through, having them keeping the standards high in training really, really helps. Whether he plays a lot of games, I think it'll be more down to, I think it'll be similar to what he's played this season, that 20-25 games. I think that's probably going to be the case, but still good to see Juan Mata signing his new contract with Manchester United. Moving on from that, let's get into the stories around Raphael Varane. Now, this is going to be the story now, and there's more and more stuff. Me and Joe talked about this last night, and after we finished last night, there was more news breaking. This is from Spanish reporters saying Manchester United are in pole position to sign Raphael Varane. Varane has an offer for Real Madrid, but they expect him to reject it and think his future is at United. Both parties are very close to an agreement. I think that the fee, comparing this to the Sancho deal, it is the complete opposite. The problem with the Sancho deal was the fee was the issue. Player was happy, players' fees were agreed, but the fee to get Jadon Sancho over was the issue, and that's why it dragged on. Whereas I think this is more the opposite. You've got the fee agreed with the clubs. I think 50 million euros, that will be happening. That's not a problem. Real Madrid are happy with that price. Manchester United are happy to pay that. But the issue is convincing Raphael Varane to come in and come to Manchester United and getting the wage structure right. We talked about it last night that it's looking likely that Varane's contract offer from Real Madrid is going to be one that requires him to take a pay cut. We've talked, you know the problems with Real Madrid. They're one of the ones pushing for the Super League, and the reason that is because they're really short on money. They're really short on cash, and they want to offer Raphael Varane, who's been there, done that, won 4 Champions Leagues with them. They're going to offer him a pay cut. No surprise that he wants to leave and move on to elsewhere. We also reported last night that Ramos is looking likely to be going to PSG. That is pretty much from Romano, a here we go. The one thing that means is, and the one thing they've said is, that means that Varane will not be going to PSG, which kind of means that there's two horses in this race. There's him staying at Real Madrid and maybe taking a pay cut, or it's coming to Manchester United. The next bit of news was from another Spanish reporter who said Raphael Varane is deciding what to do with his future, and he wants to decide as soon as possible, and he has an offer from Manchester United. Now, I'm guessing this, I don't think either of the player and the clubs are expecting the French, the English, whatever players who have been at the Euros to be at pre-season when it kicks off. I think they start on Monday. I think a lot of players will be getting in on Monday. I don't think they're expecting the likes of Varane and any of the players involved in the Euros to be there this week, but probably want them to be involved towards the end of July, probably in the next couple of weeks. I think Varane's kind of there. He's at the peak of his career. He knows how important being in for a pre-season is. He doesn't want to go to Madrid and play a couple of games or do a bit of training and then move elsewhere, or not go into either. He wants to get this sorted, get it signed so he can be involved in whatever team he's going to be involved in next season. This is an odd... This seems so strange to me, because for me, this just looks like... I always thought this was him getting a new deal, or PSG were going to get him. But it's looking more and more likely that Manchester United have got a very good chance of signing Raphael Varane this summer. This would be an unbelievable sign. For as much as Jadon Sancho has come in and we're happy and he's an exciting talent and all this, it's been very rare that United in the last few years have seemed to have a good season like they did last season. I think people will argue that it was a good season. We've improved. To then go on the back of that and sign an exciting young talent in Jadon Sancho, who is probably at the top of his game, and then sign a defender who's won everything and is at the peak of his career. That's just not happened for Manchester United for a long, long time. It's not happened since the Fergie days, where we've gone out and got 2 or 3 players in that kind of mould after we've had a good season. You saw Van Gaal sign a lot of players after we'd had a terrible season under David Moyes. You saw Mourinho come in and sign a lot of good players after we'd had a poor season, missing out on Champions League. It's been very rare that Manchester United have got Champions League football, had a good season, and then built on top of that. So this is really good to see. It's really good to see us being linked with Raphael Varane, and I'm hoping this one gets through. I'm hoping it's Varane over Pau Torres. I have my doubts to see how much that improves for next season. I think Pau Torres is a good player, but I don't think comes into this team and makes us title contenders and lifts us that much. Whereas Raphael Varane, been there, done that, Champions Leagues, league titles, World Cups. He is an unbelievable player that will probably lift everyone around him, the likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the likes of Harry Maguire, who has a lot of pressure on him this summer. I would love to see Raphael Varane come to Manchester United next year. The next story I have for you this morning is around Goretzka. Look, this one I don't think really had any legs in it, but this was confirmed last night by, let me just get this up for you 1 second. This was confirmed saying that Goretzka, after inquiring for Goretzka, this was kind of talked about as a Pogba replacement. Very different player, but I think probably fits in playing in that deep line too. I think that's where kind of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United saw of this. But Florian Plettenberg has come out and said, after inquiring about Goretzka, Manchester United were told he's getting a new contract and he wants to stay at Bayern Munich. That was it. This isn't lasted very long. Maybe this was inquiry. Look, Goretzka, a very good player. Maybe there was a little bit of this of, if we do let go of Pogba, this would kind of fill that gap very, very quickly. I don't see this one happening. You rarely see Bayern Munich sell players that are at their peak or are integral parts of their team. They just don't do that, Bayern Munich. They let players go. You saw the likes of Schweinsteiger go. Was never gonna do anything. You then looked at even Thiago last season left, but was he really the key to Bayern Munich? I don't think so. They let him go at the right time. I don't think Goretzka is going to leave Bayern Munich. I don't see him going elsewhere. I don't think Manchester United I don't think United have enough to prize a top German player out of a Bayern Munich. They don't have, they're not going to spend ridiculous amounts of money on him. So that's Florian Plettenberg confirming that last night, that Goretzka probably is not going to leave Bayern Munich. Now, the last story I am going to go through this morning, I will get to your questions just after that. So make sure you're getting into the comments, getting involved. I'm going to talk a little bit about Bruno Fernandes' contract. Now, this one here, we talked about this last night. This was Fabrizio Romano came out and said Bruno Fernandes, he wants the next priority after signing Jadon Sancho was getting Bruno Fernandes' contract done. Now you can see below there, that is the current reported wages of Manchester United players. So you've got David De Gea out there on £375,000 a week. You've got Paul Pogba on £290, Martial £250. Sancho's being reported at coming in at £250,000 a week. Bruno Fernandes reported to be on £180,000 a week, which for the impact he's had and the player he is isn't a lot of money, really. That is a cheap player in Bruno Fernandes. I think what Bruno wants to do is be put in line with everyone else. And to be honest, I think the club want to put him in line with everybody else. They got him in on what they thought it was the right price. He's proved everyone maybe a little bit wrong of how good he is, how important he is to Manchester United, and they want to raise that up. So this is going to happen. He's got a contract for a long time so far, Bruno Fernandes. This isn't going to need to be a massive extension that keeps him here much longer, but he's going to be brought up to be in line with the likes of Martial, with the likes of Jadon Sancho, with the likes of Paul Pogba, because he is that kind of player and he is that important to Manchester United. And this goes back to how it used to be at Manchester United. Manchester United had, Roy Keane in the 90s he was the top player. He was the most important player and he got paid the most. If anybody else came in and got similar wages or more wages, he got raised up, so that the players of most important for Manchester United were all paid the same, were all on that similar money, and no one was getting paid more having a least important role in the team. And that's what I think United are trying to get back to. David De Gea is probably the outlier of that at the moment in time, where there's question marks over his future. There's question marks whether he is the number one goalkeeper, and he's getting paid a lot more. But I think that baseline of that £250,000 to £290,000 a week, that is your top performance. That is what it is, and I think that is where Bruno Fernandes will get raised to. I don't think it's the fact that Bruno Fernandes is pushing for this, is demanding it. I think it's more Manchester United going, look, you've deserved it, let's get this done. So I'm hoping that gets done, and I think that will probably get done in the next week or two, with him coming back from Portugal. As he's coming back for the start of next season, Bruno Fernandes going to get moved up to that. Let's have a look at some of your comments this morning. Make sure you're getting them in, and I will go through them. People saying Bruno's worth $250,000 a week or more. I completely agree. I think he's done that. I think he's well worth it. He got a 100k raise last year. He's going to keep moving up. He needs to be in line with those top performances. People saying there, wow, Martial on 250 and David De Gea on 375 after the season they've just had. This was a previous thing. I think the De Gea one was a bad decision, to be honest. I think that was a panic decision by Manchester United. You remember when that contract offer came out, United were in all sorts of problems. United were all over the place. And David De Gea was the one shining light at that point. David De Gea was our best player. We need to keep David De Gea at this football club, whatever we do. So, David De Gea got offered that massive deal to stop him going to the likes of Real Madrid, to stop him going to the likes of PSG. The problem is now, we've now got to the point where we probably could do with moving David De Gea on, or looking at moving him on, and no one is going to spend 375k a week. And that's the same thing with Martial as well. I think we gambled a little bit on that, but we've got him on 250 grand a week. I still think he's got a chance of being a good player next season. Whether he stays or not, that's yet to be seen, but I think that he's a very good player, and I think we'll get some more, be doing a lot better next season. Yes, Kaz, you've mentioned there, Juan Mata has signed his new 1-year extension at Old Trafford. There was talk about him leaving, but no real clubs where he wants to go. We've talked about it on the channel before. He's very settled in Manchester. He doesn't want to move. This isn't a decision maybe about football, about him getting more game time and all that kind of stuff. This is because he wants to stay in Manchester. I think that even if he didn't sign this new deal, he would have stayed in Manchester in some way, shape or form. I don't see him going back to Spain to play a bit part role for someone. I don't see him going to America. He's got a family. They're happy in Manchester, and Juan Mata is sticking around for another year, which is really good to see. They talked about in the article on the Manchester website this morning his impressive brace against Anfield in 2015. He got the all-important equaliser in the 2016 Cup. He's been there for 9 years. It'll be his 9th season at Manchester United. Amazing. It seems crazy that he's been there that long. But Juan Mata signs a new contract this morning. Someone is taking the mic saying, are you sitting or standing, Baggins? Alex Baggins. Can't believe that that's stuck. But no, I'm sitting this morning. Don't, because there's no Joe Smith. David has put a super chat in this morning saying we're spending $500,000 on goalies right now. The goalie situation isn't great. It really isn't. The situation we've got ourselves in, where we've got David De Gea on the biggest contract we've seen for a goalkeeper, and then you've got the likes of Dean Henderson, who's on a decent contract. We're kind of in the middle of it all. There's no one really made that decision yet. You've just got to look at it of what happens this season. I think both will stick around. I think that they're both going to compete next season. I don't think they're gonna get rid of one of them. Mainly because I don't think Ollie wants to get rid of Dean Henderson. I think he sees him as a potential long-term number one for Manchester United. And I also think that, look, you're not going to get rid of David De Gea. You're going to have to pay him off in some way, shape, or form. And I don't think that's the right move at this moment in time. I think the two of them will stay there. Some people asking about Heaton. I've heard that that's been kind of pushed back, and then potentially it could be announced today, the 2nd of July, that Tom Heaton could be announced. I think Tom Heaton's coming in as that third choice, as that. You see a lot of clubs doing it. You get an English goalkeeper in because it fits the homegrown player rule. He's an older player. So, look, that's the good thing. Do they have good footballers in the Shire? They've bloody right they do. They have great footballers in the Shire. So, that has been all from me this morning. Make sure you are liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We've got all sorts of good stuff coming out later today. We've got an exclusive interview with an ex-Manchester United player that Adam McCullough has been speaking to. So make sure you hit the notification bell to check that one out. So make sure that we've been excited to see that one out there. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell for that coming out. I've been Alex, and I will see you next time.